Okay, well, that's 5. So welcome to the ESW General Meeting number 1. If you have not signed in yet, please do so with the QR code. Today, we're just going to talk about kind of like how exactly the projects will work out for this year. In ESW, we want you to participate as much as you're able to, because like, again, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So essentially, can you go to the next slide real quick? One of the things we do at the beginning every year is we have our dues. You can pay either $25 at the beginning of the semester or $35 for the whole year. And that just goes towards some projects that aren't funded through Green Fund. We do that to pay for t-shirts because they're not always purchased at a profit. And we have just dues that we have to send to the national chapter every year. So that's kind of like the cost of helping to organize everything all into one nice little organization. Yeah, what's the next slide, actually? You see? That's just go straight into project stuff. So long story short, again, ESW, you participate how you can. We're going to have speakers. We're going to have different interactions. We're going to have different group settings, just different ways to have fun, learn something, and figure things out. So without further ado, I'll pass it on to projects.
Hey, what's up? I'm Max Taubert, the other Max. I am one of the project coordinators, and I'm just going to go back and touch on the project teams again. So after this meeting, we'll have everybody's applications in, and by, I think, the 19th, right around the 19th, 20th, we'll have team decisions for everybody, so everyone can begin communicating and setting up their teams. These teams are going to consist of 5 to 10 people with 1 dedicated project lead. The duties are going to include attending the team / project meetings, contributing to projects, communicating with the team. And the reason for all of those duties is we want to see all of these projects come into fruition this semester. Even with everything going on, I know that we can all coordinate well and make sure things happen for everyone in the group and overall for the organization. Now I'm going to lead it or hand it over to Alyssa so she can talk about the.
Howdy everyone, I'm Alyssa Brown. I'm the other Alyssa, and I am the project coordinator for this, and the other project coordinator for this year. And I'm going to touch on the project lead again. Basically, there is an application process on the application, the project application you're going to get today. There is a part where it asks if you're interested in being a project lead. You'll fill out which project you're interested in being the lead of, and then it said there's like a tell me about yourself where we want to hear a little bit about you and maybe why you'd fit the lead as a project lead. So then the duties include tri-weekly progress updates. Me or Max will send you like a form of some sort that just keeps us in the loop. And then your other duties include facilitating team meetings, outlining the project schedule, and a quick presentation at the overall ESW project meetings, just giving a bit of a progress report. And this position will challenge your ability to work and lead in a group and create a plan with a knowledge that is likely to change, especially during this time. With the facilitating team meetings, it's up to you and your team how you want to do that this semester. So I'm gonna hand it back over to Max.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to touch on something that is going to be repeated throughout the semester, and that's going to be the engineering design process. I think this process is really important to understand and constantly remind yourself about throughout the process of design. And I'm going to start with a quote at the bottom. As engineers, we are going to be in a position to change the world, not just study it. Henry Petrosky. He's an American engineer and an author specializing in failure analysis. So, this guy failed a lot, fixed a lot of things, and had the process. So no matter how many times you fail, you can still get to do what you want to do, and you can achieve anything that you want to. And this process makes that a whole lot easier to hold on to and understand. Even whenever things don't feel like they're going the way that they should, they can always be turned around and put right back on the same path that they need to be on. So where we're at right now is identifying the need. So what do we need that we don't have? And that's something that as soon as you get assigned your project, you're going to quickly understand. there are things that you're going to need, whether it's going to come through the Green Fund with funding, or if it's going to come through needing knowledge from somebody else. Alyssa and I are good people to reach out to, and we can help you get into contact with somebody if we can't help out. Another thing that follows that is understanding the need. What does it need to do? How well does it need to do it? And these are things that come with everything. Every single system is a little different. So having that understanding helps you get to your solution in the end. So whenever you ideate your possible solutions, you take all of these possible solutions and you try and figure out which one is the best way that we can get this done. Whether it's going to be the best solution for specifications or overall for the budget. That's something that budget-wise will be touched on later on in the process after the design and everything. And I'll talk to y'all a little bit more about that in the next project meeting as well. And the next slide touches on that too. So after you think about all the possible solutions, you're going to find that solution and you're going to define it. And then does it meet your specifications? The good thing with this organization, a lot of the projects have a lot of work around with whatever you want to do creativity wise or any other way that you want to deal with the problem that you have at hand. And then step 5 is implementing the solution, whether that comes to funding or even doing some things on your own, like taking a microcontroller and finding libraries that fit your sensors or anything like that. From there, you can definitely take anything that you have from abstract and make it into reality. So now I'm going to move forward into the product development slide, because ultimately we're all developing some sort of product that is either for our group, it's for our group and ultimately for the organization. So with the product development, some things to avoid, and I'm just stating this from the beginning, avoid purely focusing on the financial aspect. This can lead to everything below: inferior products, poor brand image, generous financial projections, unrealistic market conditions. The last two are not really so much. The generous financial projections are something that we kind of touch on a little bit, but unrealistic market conditions, we're not really making something that's necessarily conditioned for the market yet. You know, you might take an idea later on in life and put it in the market. You can deal with that then. But for now, it's something that you want to focus on not hindering the design process. You want to keep moving forward no matter what. If you hit a wall, walk around it or find a sledgehammer, whatever you need to do to work your way through something, you can definitely do it. And one of the things that I dealt with being a project lead in ESW was dealing with the financial aspect. It was something we got hung up on pretty early. And I think overall the design got a little bit slowed down, but once we got past that barrier, everything sped up. And then the project became something real that we could actually, you know, show our parents, show our friends, and let them know what we're working on, which as engineers, I know we're all excited to do. So yeah, that's some stuff about product development. I'm going to touch some more on it in the next project meeting, as well as a little bit more on the engineering design process. So that way we can get our feet wet and hit the ground running. Even with wet feet, we're just going to keep going. And I'm going to be here. Alyssa's going to be here to help you along that process. So if you get stuck in mud, we will be here to help you no matter what. So now I'm going to hand it off to Noah Huerta, and he's going to talk about his 3D filament recycling project.
All right, so can everybody hear me? Everybody in the back, you guys hear me all right? All right, cool. So my name is Noah Huerta, the other Noah. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be ridiculous. And I'm the project lead for the 3D filament recycling project. So what is the 3D filament recycling project? So 3D printing, as we know, it's a thing, and it allows you to print pretty much anything you can design on the computer. However, most people just print boats and frogs. That's just how it is. I don't make the rules. Many times you may not need these boats and frogs anymore, or they failed while printing. So what do? You give them the proper Viking funeral and then toss them in the trash. While tossing a few boats and frogs is not an issue, imagine the number of boats and frogs that the FEDC prints and throws away every day. That is quite a lot. The aim of our project is to recycle these boats and frogs and extrude them into usable filament to print more boats and frogs. It's a really cool project that our team has worked very hard on these past semesters. Last semester, we finished the Aggie Green Fund application and were approved to receive the $1,300 that we needed to bring our project to fruition. However, due to the Corona situation, we were not able to go through with it last semester. This semester, the Aggie Green Fund is operational, so we will continue the project, although we will have to alter some of the components to ensure everybody's safety. So Max wanted me to talk a little bit about some of the things that our team did successfully. So first off the bat, don't have meetings to have meetings. Nobody likes having a meeting where there are no predetermined goals. I know I'm guilty of doing this a few times, but I've since learned to make objectives they need to discuss during the meeting, or if there's nothing really to discuss at the moment, then wait till next week to have a meeting. This is just a better use of everybody's times. Secondly, always make sure to delegate tasks. If I were to tell everybody in the Zoom call to put together a party for next week, the odds of that happening are very slim. Everybody's going to think somebody else is doing it, so nobody's actually going to do anything. So it's really important when you do things in a project team that you always assign a person or group of people to certain tasks. So thirdly, divide your project group into subgroups if applicable. I say if applicable because I know there's a few teams that have like 3 people, so that probably would not be the best use of your resources. But the filament recycling team is actually divided into 3 sub-teams where we have the shredding, extruding, and operations team. This is good for a lot of reasons because it allows for more effective teamwork as well as allowing for people to get really knowledgeable about one subject instead of everybody being kind of knowledgeable about a lot of subjects. Remember, you don't have to be an expert on everything. Communication is really important in project teams. We know that ESW is your #1 priority and is the sole reason for your existence, but sometimes you have to put aside some time for college assignments. This may mean you may not be able to go to a project meeting or complete the task you were assigned. There's no problem with this. Just remember to communicate with your team so everybody's in the loop. Remember, schoolwork should always come before ESW. Another important point is getting to know people. It's really important to know the people in your project team as well as in the organization. I know that once I started getting to know more people, I started showing up to more project meetings and build events because it wasn't really working. It was just hanging out and building a portable aquaponics system. It's also important to make connections with people outside of our chapter. This project idea did not originate from our ESW chapter. It was actually the El Paso chapter that gave us this idea. I texted the head of the project a lot these last 2 semesters in order to learn more about what they did and maybe the things that we should and shouldn't do. Lastly is to have fun. At the end of the day, this is not a class. We're not forcing you to join. And right now with the virtual meetings, we can't even entice you with food. So everybody that is here wants to be here to learn and have a good time. So make sure that you are having fun. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Noah. Great job. So here is the fall 2020 meeting schedule. Here's a table of those. And also, if you want to scan this, it'll take you to the calendar. And also, I think that's on the website, right? So,
Yep.
just if anyone wants to take a quick screen grab of this, go ahead. We'll be sending out reminders, of course. And all right, so we're actually going to start going into the projects now. But before that, I wanted to give everyone the chance to go ahead and open up the project application QR code, just so you could mark like your interests, like while we're going over some of the projects. We also have 2 new projects that we added from in between the time from the informational. Please note that this application is due by September 19th. That is so we can place everyone before the first project meeting, which is on September 21st. So I'm just going to leave this up for a little bit, and also can someone type the thing in the chat, the URL?
I got you.
By the way, this also
Okay.
has
You
the
beat me there.
project lead. This has the project lead like application on it as well. You'll just fill in. One of the questions towards the bottom is which, if you want to be a project lead, if so, fill out which projects you'd be interested in leading, and then just give us a little bit of information and then tell us about yourself. Okay, I'm gonna leave this up until 35, and then we will go ahead and move on to the next slides.
The more you give us to like help place you in locations, the better we can see like what exactly about you makes you a good fit for just joining a certain team or even just being a lead. So just make sure to like give yourself a proper description. It's not a,
Yeah.
This is not the time to be humble.
No, yeah, like brag if you want to. Also, it does say, and to tell us about yourself, to please at least include some hobbies or interests. This is so if you, let's say you can't get into like your first choice or something, we can like place you based off of what you're telling us, kind of, just to make sure we get you in the right place. Okay, so it is 5:35, and I'm gonna go ahead and move on. So we're gonna first go over the projects that we've already discussed, and then the last two projects are new projects. So these are the projects we're gonna have this year. Noah already went over the, oh my goodness. Noah already went over the 3D printer filament recycling, but just to give a quick overview, I guess, real quick, they're just basically trying to recycle, 3D filament and make it reusable so we can reuse the stuff that was being thrown away, the frogs and the boats. All right. Max?
Yeah, I got you. Cool,
Alright.
thank you. This is the open source all-in-one soil sensor. Basically, we're taking several sensors, adding them all into one unit that overall will upload data wirelessly to a database. So that way, Michael, the farm manager at Howdy Farms, can take that sensor data and know more about the soil that he's putting it in. The goal is to get it to run for probably about 2+ weeks on a single charge of a battery. And then from there, I'm not really sure. It's really up to the team what they want to do whenever it comes to different things that they want to add to the project. I've got a pH sensor, soil moisture and temperature sensor, and sunlight intensity sensor from the previous project we're working on, or current project we're working on for the Howdy Farm automated irrigation system. So a lot of those things we've already got covered whenever it comes to funding wise. Everything else is really just up in the air, whatever works with the system and whatever the team sees fit for the system. So yeah, that's the open source all-in-one soil sensor.
All right. Just real quick before I mention something about this, to be clear, on the form, it's listed as 0 through 5 for each project. So 0 is not interested in the project at all. 5 is extremely interested. So just like give your ranking of the project, that way we can sort it out. And you can have multiple like extremely interested, but if you want to in the tell us about yourself, just like maybe say which one you really, really want to do, kind of thing. So onto the green energy showcase along with the light bulb power demonstration. This one is combining a new project and an old project. The new project is the green energy showcase, where we kind of want to have a team plan an event for highlighting the benefits of green energy and cleaner alternatives. And within that, we want to have like demonstrations, right? So that's where the light bulb power demonstration comes in. Basically, their goal is to build a mobile display to demonstrate the efficiency of LED light bulbs. It's a hand cranked machine that shows how much like work it takes to light the light bulb. And of course, we also need demonstrations. So I feel like this could be a relatively large project group that could be broken down into smaller subsections that can work on demonstration and all come together to plan the event as a whole. And so on to the electronics recycling initiative.
So for the electronics recycling initiative, basically we'll have on-campus electronics recycling. There will be drop-off locations that the team will handle, And then from there, you'll be able to determine what to do with the recycled electronics. I use a lot of recycled electronics, anything that I'm not using, from USB cables to resistors and capacitors. I take and recycle it in a lot of my personal projects. It's very useful. And we've got a new project that we're introducing today, A&M upcycling, which Kiran, sorry if I mispronounced it, will be introducing later. So that would be a perfect group to work with in dealing with what to do with the electronics recycling. Some other ideas would be some projects that could branch off from there, and then also some of our current projects, helping them out with some recycled electronics rather than having to go buy new ones whenever the other ones work perfectly well. And now we'll be moving on to the solar powered milkshake cart.
All right, so the solar powered milkshake cart, it is a returning project. Basically, the idea was to build a solar powered cart for making and selling milkshakes. But of course, if you want to change it to whatever you want to make, go ahead. It was a big debate last semester. And so the idea is to promote green energy, and the team thought about selling at tailgates, you know, if those ever come back, and events, and at events or outside of ZAC. And the profit would hopefully go to ESW. And yeah, that is the basic idea. This cart here is from, I believe, the UT ESW, or TU, sorry, ESW section. And so that was kind of the inspiration for this cart.
And then we've got the cardboard competition. This is an open competition planning for cardboard competition. So you'd be planning out the competition, setting up some rules for people to follow so that way they know what to design, and then building the cardboard innovations for competition with judging. So y'all could set up the panel of judges, whether it be some professors that are willing to do it, and also the team that's involved in setting up the cardboard competitions. Basically, you handle all operations of the competition, and it could range from like chanclas to, you know, the cardboard boat you see here. It can really vary based off of what kind of creativity you're looking for, and then that could be, you know, another paradigm to look for in the judging. So it's really a fun thing. It's not going to be able to happen physically this semester, but we're looking at next semester would be, like, this semester would be a lot of planning, and next semester would be the time to do it, hopefully. So yeah, it's the cardboard competition.
Okay, and next up we have another new project, the Garden Table of Service. The idea here is to build a wheelchair accessible garden table that would be interactive, and like anyone can get involved in it. So you could either bring them to events or donate them to schools, and you could, children or adults, anyone can just play around in the dirt, and plant something. And yeah, that's the basic idea of this. And I think that it can go hand in hand with a lot of like the green energy showcase as well.
So now we've got the greenhouse air analyzer. There are so many greenhouses here on campus. This could really be used anywhere there is a greenhouse. Basically, you'd be taking the temperature and humidity data, and from there determining functions that keep the greenhouse either cool or hot, depending on the season and what kind of plants you're growing in there. So as it says, you're going to be analyzing the temperature, air, and humidity. Another thing I talked to Michael, the farm manager at Howdy Farms, about was he was talking about like an insect spectrometer, basically, and it's like a yellow sticky sheet that they put up in the greenhouses. And then depending on how many black dots there are on the greenhouse, which are bugs, they can determine how dense the population of insects are within any given greenhouse. So that would be really cool to see come into this project. All of this data would be published online, so that way the farm manager has data throughout the year, knowing exactly what the temperatures were, what the conditions of the greenhouse were, and overall it's really helpful to know all of that stuff. So it's a cool project to work on.
Okay, so we also have the solar powered vehicle. This is another new project, and this is a really broad project. It's really open-ended, as I said on the slide. And the idea is to design a solar-powered vehicle with a sustainable purpose. So basically, with making something greener, keeping that in mind. Some possible ideas is a drone or a golf cart. But like I said, this project is really open for creativity as well as problem solving. So it's really open-ended, and we're excited to see whatever it becomes. And then we also have the solar panel charging station, another new project this semester. The idea is to design a solar-powered phone/laptop charging station. These are already around campus, but there could definitely be more. And so what you'd have to do is organize a budget and secure a grant and get approval for placement outside of Zachary or really anywhere around campus with some sunshine on there. And like I said, there's a possibility for creation of multiple stations because there are some already, but there could definitely be more, especially with as much sun that hits College Station during the summer and even during the winter. And then, so now we're into our new project. So this is our first new project. A graduate student reached out to me from the Bush Business School, or the Bush School. I don't remember exactly what section she's from, but what the idea here is to create recycled building blocks. So you would work with graduate students and their client Warm Hearts, which is an organization who's already started this project basically, to create a method for making building materials from styrofoam and cement. So over here in this picture, these black blocks are actually bricks made from styrofoam and crushed up styrofoam and cement and water. And what they want us to do as engineers is to design a simple, low-tech, and replicable method to mix and create the most durable and strong product. So it's a lot of testing, a lot of design. I think it's a great opportunity for multiple majors to get involved in. And if you want more information, we will be sending out these slides, but there is this link right here to the Warm Heart website, and it has some information on that. But if you do get involved in this, I will get you into contact with the graduate student who reached out to me, and she'll let you know more information from there for sure. And now I'm going to pass it over to Kieran. He's going to talk to you about his idea, and yeah, go ahead.
Hey guys, I'm Kieran. So I had this idea where we could start like an upcycling kind of organization here at A&M. I like recycling a lot and like trying to reduce like my trash and all that. So a few things that I wanted to do was like find a location like where we can set up like shop, I guess, where like repairs and like things can take place, like the creating. I want to like find sources like upcyclable things that we can like procure and then like upcycle and sell. I know A&M has like liquidations where they just like sell a bunch of their surplus in bulk. I want to like figure out how we can get access to that kind of thing. Tools and things like that that the organization like can use to like build. And then another idea I had kind of that goes along with this is like when it's COVID safe, like I envision like once or twice a semester, like we'll have like a semester event, like where we can partner with like community businesses, departments at A&M. So like host events like where people come together, like fix old things, like repair clothes, electronics, all that kind of thing. So we could work hand in hand with the other electronics project and just things like that. This is just like a little bit about what I had in mind, but I think there's a lot of ways we can go with this. So I'm pretty excited to see what we can get done.
All right, yeah, that's awesome. So these are me and Max's contact information. Also, thank you, Kieran, for presenting your slide. If you have any questions that you're maybe too shy to ask right now, or you just want more information, feel free to reach out to either of us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we see it. So if there is any questions, I'd like to open, I guess, the floor for whoever wants to ask anything. This is the end of the slides, so I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say. But yeah, thanks for coming. Be sure to fill out that project application form by the 19th. I just wanted to say real fast, from what I know right now, the TAMU upcycling has a project lead. Kieran, obviously, it was his idea. And then also the 3D filament printing has a project lead. Obviously, Noah presented on that today. So those roles are already filled, but there are plenty of other projects to take leadership on if anyone is interested.
Are you guys going to be sending out the slides?
Yes, and the recording.
We'll send out the recording, the slides, all the different links we've shown. That'll all be in one email, probably sometime around tomorrow morning. I'm also going to reiterate one more time. Historically, whenever we worked on projects, the ones that are funded through the Aggie Green Fund, which is what we are a proponent for most of the time, because having a section of your team doing budgeting budgeting is important, fundraising is not an easy task, which is why it's amazing that the university provides us with means of getting grants for these sorts of projects. Historically, those have been available for submission between like the middle of September to the end of February. So the fall semester is usually a time of planning regardless. So that's one thing we're really hoping, that even though COVID has affected our ability to meet in person, of course, as an organization and the university guidelines, we cannot encourage anyone to meet non-virtually. It must be virtual if it's an official ESW meeting. And that's one thing we're hoping that everyone respects that policy, but everyone can do what they do on their own in their own groups. But long story short, this first fall semester is a lot of planning anyway, so don't let that discourage you. We can just kind of be hopeful that things will be better in the next spring semester, so that way we can actually get our hands on stuff. This semester should just be a lot of planning, like someone said earlier, like hit the ground running next semester once things hopefully lighten up. And if not, then we'll have even more like projects prepared for whichever group eventually will take the mantle to make these projects a reality.
We will have more information on the Green Fund at the first project meeting. But real quick going over that, I know, like Noah said, he has his Green Fund application approved. The solar powered milkshake cart does have an application ready, but they never heard back from Green Fund. The light bulb power demonstration also has their application ready to go. The application overall, I mean, we'll touch on it more, but it's not like too terribly long, but you definitely want to make sure that you're well planned so that they can give you the funding that you want and need.
Yeah, can you go back to the QR code as well? I guess just
the project app.
Yeah, just in case someone needed it. If you're not in our GroupMe or our email list yet, then we will
add you. Or
that's you. Actually, I'm trying to think, because most of our emails now, before the informational, it's a lot of data out to random people. But in this case, if you're not on the email list yet, just email one of us somewhere. I'll put my email in the chat, or just say it in the GroupMe, which should have also been in a previous email. There's definitely someone somewhere through some connection to get you on the list. And if you're not in it currently, you can just say it to me in the chat privately, and I can add you to it as well.
For the greenhouse project, I was just curious about how you guys are detecting the bugs. You mentioned a sticky sheet. Do the bugs like fly into this sheet and stay there, or is it like a object detection sort of thing?
So the way that would basically set up is, there would be like a yellow sticky sheet. And then from there, if you decided you wanted to do an object detection, then you could do that with the color of the sticky sheet and the objects coming into that sticky sheet, if that makes sense.
Wait, so, is it sticky to like catch bugs?
It's sticky to catch bugs. So then from there, the bugs are stuck on there, and then you can determine how many bugs are in a given area, if that makes sense.
Like with some sort of modeling kind of algorithm, I would assume, right?
Yeah, kind of like the difference of like what's not yellow, kind of. And then from there, you can go into a lot of different things, certain kind of bugs. Basically, from there, it's creativity and how you're going to set up the system as well. But yeah, the yellow sticky sheet is what they traditionally use within the greenhouses. So I think that's a really good place to start, because those bugs fly into there, they get stuck. You could set it up to where a yellow, or like they like to fly towards yellow things, bugs do, because they like to pollinate yellow flowers. So from there, you could set up an object detection of when something does come in and kind of give given times, maybe the bugs are active during a given time. From there, it's kind of really just what you want to set it up as. I think that's a great question.